Hi everybody, it's Nikki Chanel here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be continuing our topic about HRT and transition by talking about what it's like going to work as a trans woman. Now, I have briefly mentioned what it's like going to work as a trans woman in my how different groups of people reacted to my transition video. However, after giving it a lot more thought and some of the really insightful comments that were in that video, as well as conversations with my fellow trans sisters, I have discovered there's a lot more nuances to this, and I need to talk a little bit more about generally how I'm looked at as a broader stroke at that job, okay? Now, we are going to get started. However, please hit the like and subscribe button as it helps us grow, and please keep the comment section respectful, and please post all of your questions down there. I will endeavor to answer every single one of them, and so I hope you enjoy this video, and let's get started. Okay then, so now we are going to be talking about our first topic about why I work at the job I work. So the job I work is actually a grocery store. Like it's not glamorous at all. However, the reason I work there is basically from COVID-19. COVID-19 hit, I lost my career job that I was working towards, that I was actually related to my college degree. And I basically needed a job. I was on unemployment and I just did not want to be on unemployment at all. It felt like I was just a lowlife on that. And so I needed a job. I also decided to start transitioning at this point because COVID kind of put that into perspective. And what happened was I looked up jobs that were LGBT friendly, and this thing popped up because the way I kind of view it is that they're too big of a store to have LGBT problems as one of their main issues. And so I started working there. I was hired basically within a week of me putting in my application, and I've been there for 3.5 years. Now, originally I actually had intended to make that as my career job. However, I learned after years of working there that there's that layer of corporate bureaucracy in it. And there's also a lot of barriers to progress further. I don't think any of them were transition related, like, hate for trans women or anything like that, but I think it was just the overall corporate bureaucracy. I'd only worked there 3 years. I came in strong. I came in with a solid head on my shoulders. I was basically the model employee that you can imagine, and I just was never really picked for promotion, and the promotions that I was lined up for were not really that good and weren't really going to lead anywhere. And so I started to phase it out of my life, and for a while there I really wanted to quit. I really wanted to quit because it just wasn't going anywhere. The pay was not there, and basically the reason I didn't quit is they're going to pay for these things. The insurance is way too good. I've talked to other trans women who actually work at the same grocery store company I have, and they all said the same reason, is that they're there because the insurance will cover a lot of the gender confirming surgeries that we want. And so that is the whole reason why I work there. However, I would not say that my overall time there has been bad, though. I would say it was actually been pretty good. But I want to move on to greener pastures, and I want to move on into a career more as a woman because I am legally a male still there. And the fact that I've worked there so long, everyone sees me as male. And so that's been one of the interesting concepts, but basically it kind of came to the point where I was way too invested in the insurance to just flat out quit. Now, we are going to be talking about how I actually began transitioning there and some of the struggles that I faced in that process, okay? Now, let's continue. Okay, now moving into our second topic, I'm going to be talking about my transition over time there. So the best way to describe this is I began to transition on March 18th of 2020. I got this job on May 18th of 2020. So when I started, I was working on growing out my hair, and I started to feminize really quickly when I was there because I was in a position where I was so low on the totem pole that no corporate guy would really give me issues, and I never had ever any issues with managers. I was always really good with them. And I also met a lot of really wonderful people there. I met a lot of mom figures that was there that I could talk to about transition, and to a lot of them I was like their first trans person that they have ever interacted with. And I started HRT at that job. By basically my entire progression from boy to girl, that store has witnessed, basically. And so it's been very interesting. Like, I remember the day I got on hormones, I didn't even tell my parents. I told people at my work I was starting HRT. And so that was a really interesting process. And then now now like I'm about to legally change the name. I was talking to the HR person the other day and they're like, oh yeah, this is this thing. And then I've also talked to them about, you know, my consultation that's coming up in a week from today. I'm so excited for that. And basically that, like, they all know I'm trans, like I'm very visibly trans there, but having a wonderful support group of employees that I can talk to about this has been a very rewarding experience. Now, some of the struggles with transitioning was the pay. Basically, I had to forfeit a higher pay to go work at this job. They're extremely open to trans people. Like many of them have told me, hey, if you want to be called Nicole, just let me know and we'll call you Nicole. Like that has no problem, but I've sacrificed for like my resume and what I'm capable of. I'm sacrificing about $5 or $6 an hour from working at this job, or maybe even more. So that was always been one of the issues there. The pay was never there. However, the insurance is really good. The insurance is really good. Like, I also have an HSA, that insurance, it's very comprehensive. And when I went through and read all of the gender confirming surgery check boxes, I pretty much hit every single one of them. And I've talked to enough people by this point to say that, yeah, they're gonna pay for a majority of all of the surgeries I want. However, again, the other struggle is the corporate bureaucracy. All the managers I work with are white males except for one woman, and she is basically treated like dog shit, basically. And so going into a very white man world is going to be a really hard thing for me as a trans woman, because like I just don't really work the same way as like a white guy, basically, like a you know, a corporate driven white guy. Like it's just, I'm not one of those people. And that's been one of the hardest things. And I've met some of the managers, and they're all really nice people, and I could talk to every single one of them. But when they're your boss, it's a little bit different. You know, it's the dog eat dog. It's the, I'm gonna rise above you to move up in the corporate ladder. And that's what that store is. Everybody in there that's a manager is looking to move up. And so I would be into basically a shark infested corporate world if I continued in that. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. Now, the other struggle is the bathroom. So when I started there, I was very visibly male, so I just used the male bathroom. But as my transition progressed, I stopped using the male restroom. However, they do have a bunch of single hole bathrooms. That's what I use when I'm there. Single hole, you walk in and you're by yourself, so you can do whatever you want and you're done. And I will start using the female restroom once I have my chest surgery and once I am legally female at that job, okay? Now, let us move into how different groups of employees reacted. Okay, now in talking about the employees that I work with, you can basically lump them into 3 categories. There's the older employees that have been there as long as I have, the newer employees that have been there less than a year, and then the trans employees. Now, a lot of the older employees I have worked with the entire time I've been there, so they have seen the transition process happen. And so with a lot of them, they look at me as I'm still Miles. I'm still this boy. I'm still that, like, yeah, there's a lot of physical changes happening, but they've all talked to me about transition, but it's never been like a front and center thing. Like they still see me as a very good employee. And so that's mainly the relationship I have with a lot of them. And I've told all of them is that, you know, there's going to be a point where you're going to see me as she first and foremost. And at that point, you can call me she and you can call me Nicole, and I have no problem with that. And so it's going to be an interesting process once I legally change the name and convince all of them to call me Nicole. And then there's also the newer employees. So the newer employees, there's a massive turnover rate at that store, huge. I go in every day and I see new people. And basically you can lump them into people I interact with. And a lot of them interact with me, and I'm very visibly a blonde woman at work. Like especially when I have my hair down, like I look like a female. And so a lot of them get confused when they're talking about like, oh, he's over there, Miles. What, the blonde chick? Yeah. It's like, they're like, wait, that's a boy? Like they're kind of like amazed by that. And then they come up to me and they talk to me about being transgender, or it like comes out in like a thing, or they like see me. Like one person was like, just the way you move and like the way you look, you scream female. So like, why haven't you changed your name yet? Why don't you have everyone call you she? I'm just like, well, I'm just not there yet. I'm still have facial hair, and there's still enough boy in me that I still don't see that, even though like look at this right now, like it's kind of weird. And they're like, honey, you just need to build that confidence and be called she. And so it's interesting listening to them because they are super open. Like if I was named Nicole and if I was she, they would all call me she. So that's kind of what I look like when I'm at work. And then there's the trans employees. Now the trans employees, which is very interesting, I never really noticed that until like I started to get to this point and I had people ask me about transitioning, but like these really like in-depth topics. And then I slowly got out of them, a lot of them that like, yeah, they're transitioning as well. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And there's about 5 of us that work there. There's a trans man who is pretty far along in the process, and I've talked to them a lot about their process. In fact, I'm going to the same surgeon that they had for their top surgery, and that's how I'm having my top surgery with. And then there's also the other employees that are still younger, and so they're just kind of coming out, their egg is cracked, and they're looking into starting the process, so they talk to me about that. But then I had a really heartwarming process that happened. There's this one employee, very nice boy, like nothing special. One day I noticed that their hair was getting a little bit longer, and I was like, hey, like your hair's getting a little bit longer. And they used to work in my department where I transitioned a lot of it, and so they knew of Nicole. They knew of Miles, they knew of Nicole, they knew how I was trans. And they basically came out to me. They told me that like I'm starting my process to transition. I'm like, oh my God, like you just came out to me. Like that was an amazing experience, having that like level of trust with this random employee I've met. And I love her, she's super nice. I've been helping her through the process. But the coolest thing is I was the first person outside of her immediate family that she came out to. And after talking to me, she started coming out to a lot more people. I told her, you know, these are the people you talk to and all that. And so it's really nice being like that older trans sister there. Okay, now in conclusion, I would say overall I would rate this job as a really good experience. I've definitely learned a lot. I definitely have progressed as a person and as a female through this whole job. And honestly, if the pay was higher and there was a better promotion chart, I would still be working full time, but it was because of the lack of pay, which is why I started my social media and I started doing YouTube videos to try to supplement that income, and it definitely worked out in my favor. So pretty soon I'll be completing the transitional surgeries that I want, chest for sure, and then legally changing my name, and then from there it's just kind of like we're waiting to see what happens really. So do I plan to quit it in the future? Yeah. Will it be hard to leave? Yeah, it will be hard to leave because I've made a lot of great relationships there, and I like to think I've had a positive impact on that store in a way. So just have to wait and see what happens. But honestly, next Monday when I go for my consultation, that's gonna plan out everything. Okay, loves, this has been a great video talking about this topic. I hope I wasn't too rambly in this, as a lot of this was from the heart mostly, and just from my whole experience there. So please like and subscribe. Please put down your comments in the comment section. Keep it respectful, of course. And we will be here for the next video soon, okay? So this is Nicole King, and have a wonderful day.